Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a deep dive into Period Power by Maisie Hill.
Hi, cool.
This book aims to help women understand and harness the power of their menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
Get ready for some unexpected facts and practical advice.
Oh.
Because this book is a real eye-opener.
Awesome.
I've got an expert here with me who's going to help us unpack all the amazing insights Maisie Hill has to offer.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Right off the bat, the book dives into some pretty fascinating anatomy stuff in the first chapter.
Okay.
It's called The Notorious VAG.
Uh-huh.
Can you give us a quick rundown of what this chapter is all about?
Absolutely. This chapter is all about reclaiming our understanding of female anatomy,
Okay.
dispelling common myths,
Yeah.
and emphasizing the importance of knowing our own bodies.
Right.
Hill really drives home the point that knowledge is power,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to our sexual and reproductive health.
Okay, so what's something you learned from this chapter that you found particularly surprising or interesting?
Well, one thing that really stood out to me was Hill's discussion of the clitoris.
Okay.
She reveals that it's actually much larger than most people realize,
Wow.
extending internally
Right.
and having a whopping 8,000 nerve endings.
8,000.
That's double the amount found in the penis.
That's mind-blowing.
It is pretty crazy.
And it's not just about pleasure,
Yeah.
right?
Not at all.
Hill connects this anatomical knowledge to a bigger picture of sexual health and well-being.
Exactly. Understanding the full extent of the clitoris is crucial for women's sexual health and satisfaction.
Okay.
Hill emphasizes that this knowledge can empower women to advocate for their own pleasure
Right.
and to seek help if they're experiencing any issues.
That's so important. So it's clear that this book isn't just about periods.
Definitely not.
Hill seems to be connecting hormonal fluctuations to a whole range of experiences.
Mhm.
Can you give us a sneak peek into some of those connections?
Absolutely. Hill's central argument is that our hormones influence so much more than just our periods. She links hormonal shifts to everything from our energy levels and moods
Right.
to our food cravings
Mm.
and even our decision-making abilities.
Okay, that's fascinating. So how does the book actually help us manage all these hormonal fluctuations?
Yeah.
Does it offer any practical strategies?
Yes, it does. Hill introduces a framework called the cycle strategy,
Okay.
which helps women understand the different phases of their cycle
Mm-hmm.
and work with their hormonal shifts rather than against them.
Okay, tell me more about this cycle strategy.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
It's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
Hill compares the different phases of our cycle to the 4 seasons:
Okay.
winter,
Okay.
spring,
Uh-huh.
summer,
Okay.
and autumn.
Like it.
Winter is menstruation.
Okay.
Spring is pre-ovulation.
Uh-huh.
Summer is ovulation.
Okay.
And autumn is premenstrual.
Okay, so it's like our bodies have their own internal seasons?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the idea behind linking our cycle to the seasons?
Hill's point is that just as nature goes through cycles of growth and rest,
Yeah.
so do our bodies.
Right.
Each season or phase of our cycle
Ah.
comes with its own unique set of strengths and challenges.
Okay.
And by understanding these shifts,
Yeah.
we can optimize our energy,
Mhm.
productivity,
Right.
and overall well-being.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this cycle strategy could be really powerful. So let's break down each season.
Okay.
Starting with winter, our period.
Okay.
What kind of energy should we be tapping into during this phase?
Winter, or your period, is a time when your energy naturally dips.
Okay.
Your hormone levels are lower,
Yeah,
and you may feel the need to withdraw and turn inward.
right.
Hill encourages women to embrace this time for rest and self-care,
Okay.
rather than pushing themselves to be super productive or social.
So it's like giving ourselves permission to hibernate for a bit.
Exactly. It's about honoring your body's need for rest and replenishment.
Yeah.
Don't try to power through those feelings of fatigue or discomfort. Okay. Instead, embrace the cozy vibes.
Right.
Nourish your body with good food and plenty of sleep, and allow yourself to just be.
Okay, that sounds like a much-needed permission slip to slow down.
Definitely.
What about spring?
Okay.
What kind of energy should we be tapping into during pre-ovulation?
Spring, or pre-ovulation, is when your energy starts to ramp back up.
Oh,
It's a time of renewal,
Fair
fresh
time.
starts,
Yeah.
and increased motivation.
yeah,
As the book so aptly puts it, let's get this party started.
I love that. What kind of activities or mindsets align with this spring energy?
Think of spring as the time for brainstorming,
Okay.
planning,
Uh-huh.
and setting intentions.
Right.
Estrogen is on the rise,
Yeah.
boosting your mood, creativity,
Yeah.
and energy levels.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself more focused,
Right.
driven,
Yeah.
and able to think outside the box.
So it's the perfect time to tackle those ambitious projects you might have put on hold during winter.
Exactly. It's also a great time to start new projects,
Okay.
set goals,
Yeah.
and get organized.
Right.
You'll likely find that you have more energy and focus to devote to these tasks.
Okay. I'm already feeling more energized just thinking about spring.
Uh-huh.
What about summer or ovulation?
Okay.
What kind of energy should we be tapping into during this phase?
Summer is when your estrogen peaks
Okay.
and you're feeling your most confident,
Yeah.
social, and
Okay.
radiant.
Okay.
Hill describes it as the time to go get 'em.
I love that.
It's a time to connect with others,
Okay.
express your creativity, and take action on your goals.
Okay. So bring on the social events and the bold moves. What are some specific ways women can harness that summer energy?
Hill suggests using this time to schedule social events,
Okay.
give presentations,
Mm-hmm.
and basically put yourself out there in a way that feels aligned with your goals and desires.
Yeah.
It's also a great time to focus on your relationship,
Okay,
both
yeah.
personal and professional.
So summer is all about connection, communication, and a little bit of fun.
Exactly. It's a time to shine and to embrace your most vibrant, outgoing self.
Okay. And finally, autumn or the premenstrual phase.
Okay.
What kind of energy should we be tapping into during this time?
Autumn is when you might start to feel a shift inward.
Okay.
Estrogen is declining
Yeah.
and progesterone is on the rise,
Right.
which can make you feel more introspective,
Yeah.
sensitive,
Yeah.
and perhaps a little less social.
So the opposite of summer, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
How can we best navigate this shift inward?
Don't try to fight it.
Okay.
Instead, lean into it.
Okay.
It's a time to set boundaries,
Uh,
prioritize self-care,
Yeah.
and maybe say no to things that drain your energy.
okay.
Hill emphasizes that autumn is also a time to tap into your intuition
Right.
and pay attention to your inner critic.
Okay. So it's a time for reflection and introspection.
Yeah.
But how do we work with that inner critic?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very fun.
It can actually be really powerful.
Okay.
Hill suggests using this time to examine those critical thoughts and work on developing a more compassionate inner dialogue.
Wow. I never thought of using my cycle to work on my mindset. That's incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
And it highlights Hill's core message.
Okay.
Our hormones impact not just our physical health,
Yeah.
but our emotional and mental well-being as well.
Okay. So we've got the basic overview of the cycle strategy,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to dive deeper into each of these seasons.
Okay. Sounds good.
Starting with winter, the book talks about how even female and male embryos start out the same way.
Okay.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. At the very beginning of development,
Okay.
all embryos have the potential to develop male or female sex organs.
Okay.
Around 6 weeks, if the embryo is going to be male,
Uh-huh.
it starts producing a hormone that leads to the development of the testes.
Okay.
From there, testosterone takes over,
Right.
guiding the development of male reproductive organs.
What happens if those hormones aren't present?
Then female reproductive organs will develop.
Wow.
It's a fascinating reminder that we all start from the same basic blueprint.
Yeah.
And it's the presence or absence of specific hormones
Mm,
that guides the development in one direction or the other.
it really is.
Yeah.
The book also dives into the clitoris in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find anything surprising in that section?
Definitely. We've already talked about the impressive 8,000 nerve endings.
Yeah.
But what I found particularly interesting is that the clitoris can actually change size throughout your cycle.
Really?
It can increase by up to 20% around ovulation
Wow.
and then decrease in size as your hormones shift.
I had no idea.
It's pretty cool.
You know, when I think of anatomy, I tend to think of it as being fixed.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me that the clitoris would change size throughout the month.
It's a good reminder that our bodies are constantly in flux,
Yeah.
responding to hormonal changes.
Right.
It's also important to note that there's a ton of variation when it comes to the appearance of the vulva.
Right.
There's no one right way for it to look.
That's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of what's considered ideal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hilly is all about celebrating the diversity of women's bodies
Okay.
and encouraging us to understand and appreciate our own unique anatomy.
I love that. The book also touches on vaginal discharge,
Okay.
which I think is something a lot of people have questions about.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out to you in that section?
Hill emphasizes that cervical fluid is a key indicator of fertility.
Okay.
and provides a really helpful guide to understanding the different types of cervical fluid
Okay.
you might see throughout your cycle.
Okay, but how do you actually know what to look for?
For example, right after your period,
Okay.
you might notice a few days of feeling dry,
Right.
but as you get closer to ovulation,
Yeah.
your cervical fluid increases in volume
Okay.
and becomes more slippery and stretchy,
Right.
kind of like raw egg white.
Yeah. This creates a more hospitable environment for sperm.
Okay.
Then after ovulation,
Yeah.
the fluid becomes thicker and drier again.
So paying attention to your cervical fluid can give you a lot of insight into where you are in your cycle and help you understand your fertility window.
Exactly. It can also help you notice any potential issues that might need to be addressed.
Okay.
The book also talks about unusual discharge.
Yeah.
That could indicate an infection,
Right.
like yeast or bacterial vaginosis.
Okay. So it's not just about fertility, it's also about overall vaginal health.
Right. Hill provides a lot of information on how to keep things balanced down there,
Yeah.
which is so important.
Now let's get back to the cycle strategy.
Okay.
How does that all actually play out in real life?
Okay.
We've touched on the basic energy of each season, but I'm curious to hear more about the specifics.
Okay.
Hill breaks down your cycle into those 4 seasons we talked about.
Yeah.
Winter, spring,
Yeah.
summer,
Yeah.
and autumn.
Yep. Each season comes with its own unique set of strengths and challenges,
Yeah,
just like the seasons in nature.
exactly.
So tell me about winter.
Okay.
What does that look like in a practical sense?
Okay.
What kind of activities or self-care practices align with this phase?
Winter, or your period, is a time when your energy naturally dips.
Right.
Your hormone levels are lower, and you may feel the need to withdraw and turn inward.
Yeah.
It's a time for rest and self-care.
Okay, so ditch the to-do list and embrace those cozy vibes.
Exactly. Take some time for yourself.
Okay.
Nourish your body with good food and plenty of sleep,
Yeah.
and allow yourself to just be.
Right.
It's also important to note that during your period, your hormone levels are fluctuating,
Yeah.
and your uterus is shedding its lining.
Right.
It's a process that requires energy and rest.
So pushing through and pretending everything is fine is actually counterproductive.
Totally.
Okay.
Embracing winter allows you to replenish your energy stores, so you can come back stronger in the following seasons.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So warm baths,
Huh?
cozy blankets,
Yeah.
comforting foods,
Right.
and plenty of rest.
Exactly.
Got it.
Okay.
Now, before we move on to spring,
Okay.
there's something I wanted to ask about.
Okay.
The book touches on this idea of bleeding liabilities and bleeding superpowers.
Uh-huh.
Basically pushing back against the idea that women are less capable during their periods.
Right.
What are Hill's thoughts on that?
She argues that our menstrual cycle is a source of power,
Okay.
not weakness.
Right.
She points out that we're actually wired to be more introspective and intuitive during winter or our period,
Yeah.
which can be incredibly valuable in both our personal and professional lives.
Okay, so instead of trying to hide our periods or pretend they don't affect us,
Yeah.
we should embrace them as a source of strength.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and recognizing the unique gifts that each phase of our cycle brings. Embracing the cyclical nature of our bodies can lead to greater self-awareness and empowerment.
That's a fantastic perspective.
Yeah.
Now, the book also talks about reflecting on your first blood experience.
Okay.
Can you tell me more about that?
First blood is all about exploring your first period experience and the messages you received about menstruation growing up.
Yeah.
Hill encourages us to unpack any negative or limiting beliefs that we might have absorbed along the way.
Oh, that's interesting. I can definitely remember feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension when I got my first period.
Me too.
Yeah?
And Hill provides a series of journal prompts
Okay.
to help us dig deeper into our personal first blood story and examine how our past experiences might be shaping our current relationship with our periods.
Right.
It can be a powerful exercise in self-discovery and healing.
I bet. Okay, so we've talked about the bleeding superpowers of winter,
Yeah.
but what about the challenges?
Okay.
What are some of the things that women might struggle with during this phase?
Well, as we talked about, energy levels can be lower during this phase.
Yeah.
So it's important to honor your body's need for rest.
Right.
You might also experience physical discomfort like cramps and bloating.
And emotionally?
Emotionally, you might feel more sensitive and withdrawn.
Okay.
This is a time when you might need more space and solitude.
Right.
So if you're feeling a little antisocial and weepy during your period,
Yeah.
it's not just you being dramatic. It's
Right.
completely normal to feel a range of emotions during this time.
Yeah.
It's all part of the hormonal fluctuations.
Okay. So we're not alone in feeling those winter blues.
Exactly. It's a natural part of the cycle.
And what are some of the things that can help make winter a little more manageable,
Okay.
aside from rest and self-care?
He'll suggest creating a supportive and nourishing environment for yourself.
Okay.
Think warm baths,
Uh-huh.
cozy
Consider-
blankets,
Right.
comforting foods,
Yeah.
and plenty of rest.
Okay.
Basically, treat yourself with kindness and compassion. Your body is working hard during this time,
Yeah.
so give it the love and care it deserves.
Great advice.
Right.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of winter.
Yeah, we have.
Are you ready to move on to spring?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that fresh, vibrant energy.
Perfect. So we talked about spring being a time for new beginnings and bold moves. But what if we're feeling a little hesitant to step into that energy?
Okay.
What if we're still feeling the after effects of winter?
That's totally understandable.
Yeah.
It takes time to transition from one season to the next.
Right?
Hill acknowledges that it can be challenging to shift gears,
Yeah.
especially if you're used to pushing yourself,
Yeah.
even when you're not feeling your best.
So what's the key to embracing that spring energy?
Hill suggests starting small.
Okay.
Don't try to do too much too soon.
Right?
Instead, focus on gradually increasing your activity level
Yeah.
and taking on new challenges in a way that feels manageable.
Okay, so ease into it.
Yeah.
Don't try to go from 0 to 60 overnight.
Exactly. And remember, spring is all about experimentation and exploration.
Right.
So don't be afraid to try new things and see what sparks your interest.
That's great advice. Now, the book also talks about unhealthy comparisons during spring.
Okay.
Can you expand on that a bit?
During spring, when our energy is on the rise,
Yeah.
we might be tempted to compare ourselves to others
Right.
and to judge our own progress based on external standards.
So it's that classic trap of comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can be incredibly discouraging,
Yeah.
especially if we're feeling vulnerable or insecure.
Okay, so how do we avoid falling into that trap?
Hill encourages us to focus on our own journey
Okay.
and to celebrate our own unique strengths and accomplishments.
Right.
It's about being kind to ourselves
Yeah.
and recognizing that we're all on our own timeline.
That's great advice. Now, I'm curious about something. The book talks about how ovulation is the perfect time to copafeel.
Okay.
Can you explain what that means?
Copafeel is a UK-based breast cancer awareness charity
Okay.
that encourages women to check their breasts regularly.
Right.
Hill suggests that ovulation, or summer,
Uh-huh.
is the ideal time to do a breast self-exam
Okay.
because your breasts are less tender due to lower progesterone levels,
Okay.
making it easier to detect any unusual lumps or changes.
Right.
And remember,
Yeah.
early detection is key when it comes to breast health.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to something that really caught my attention in the book.
Okay.
Seed cycling.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Seed cycling is a natural approach to balancing hormones
Okay.
by incorporating specific seeds into your diet
Right.
at different points in your cycle.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does it work?
During the first half of your cycle,
Okay.
from the first day of your period to ovulation, you eat 1 to 2 tablespoons each of flaxseed and pumpkin seeds daily.
Interesting.
Flaxseed is a good source of lignans,
Okay.
which help block excess estrogen,
Right.
and pumpkin seeds are high in zinc,
Okay.
which supports progesterone production.
And what about the second half of the cycle?
From ovulation to the start of your next period,
Okay.
you switch to 1 to 2 tablespoons each of sesame and sunflower seeds daily.
Okay.
Sesame seeds contain lignans and vitamin E, which can help to block excess estrogen.
Okay.
And sunflower seeds provide selenium,
Right.
which helps the liver detoxify excess hormones,
Okay.
improving overall hormonal health.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's a simple but potentially powerful way to support hormonal balance.
Exactly. And Hill emphasizes that seed cycling can be particularly helpful for women experiencing hormonal imbalances,
Okay.
PMS,
Uh-huh.
irregular cycles,
Right.
or even menopausal symptoms.
Okay, I'm definitely going to give this a try.
Right.
What else can we do to support our bodies during spring? Does the book offer any advice on exercise or movement during this phase?
Hill recommends incorporating exercise that gets your heart rate up.
Okay.
Aerobic exercise is especially beneficial during this phase
Yeah.
because it helps boost circulation and endorphin production,
Okay.
both of which can improve mood and energy levels.
Right.
She suggests things like running,
Yeah.
dancing,
Yeah.
swimming,
Okay.
cycling,
Right.
and HIIT workouts.
Sounds like a fun mix.
It is.
So cardio is key during spring.
Yes.
Okay.
And remember, spring is a great time to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and experiment with different activities.
Okay, I'm ready to embrace my inner spring goddess.
Me too.
Now let's talk about something that can be a bit controversial.
Okay.
Exercise during your period.
Okay.
What does Hill have to say about that?
Hill acknowledges that some women prefer to rest during their period.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
Huh.
But she also emphasizes that there's no reason to avoid exercise altogether,
Okay.
especially if you enjoy it and it makes you feel good.
Right.
She encourages us to be flexible and to adjust our exercise routine based on how we're feeling.
So it's really about listening to your body and honoring your individual needs.
Exactly.
Okay, if I'm feeling up for a run, go for it.
Uh-huh.
But if I need a rest day, that's okay too.
Exactly.
Now, Hill talks about a specific case study in the book
Okay.
about a woman named Laura
Okay.
who was struggling to conceive.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about Laura's story and how Hill helped her?
Laura was in her early 30s
Okay.
and had been trying to conceive for over a year with no success.
Right?
She had been diagnosed with hypothalamic amenorrhea,
Okay.
a condition that can cause irregular or absent periods
Okay.
due to stress, excessive exercise,
Right.
or low body weight.
So her body was basically in a state of chronic stress,
Yeah,
which was disrupting her cycle.
exactly. Hill worked with Laura to reduce her stress levels,
Okay.
adjust her exercise routine,
Uh-huh.
and improve her nutrition.
And how did that go?
Laura's cycle gradually returned to a healthy rhythm,
Wow.
and she was eventually able to conceive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great reminder that our bodies are incredibly resilient
Yeah.
and that even when things feel hopeless, there's always hope.
Absolutely.
Now, before we wrap up our discussion of spring,
Okay.
I want to touch on something that can be a common issue during this phase.
Okay.
Low estrogen.
Okay.
Low estrogen. But we just talked about how estrogen is on the rise during spring.
Yes.
Okay.
But some women might still experience symptoms of low estrogen, such as vaginal dryness,
Right.
low libido,
Uh-huh.
or mood swings, even though estrogen is generally increasing during this phase.
Okay, so what can we do to boost estrogen naturally during this phase?
Hill suggests eating plenty of healthy fats, like those found in avocados,
Right.
nuts, and seeds. She also recommends incorporating phytoestrogen-rich foods into your diet.
Phytoestrogens.
Yeah.
What are those?
Phytoestrogens are plant compounds
That's
that
it.
can mimic the effects of estrogen in the body.
Interesting. What are some good sources of phytoestrogens?
Good sources include flaxseed,
Okay.
soy products,
Uh-huh.
and chickpeas.
Okay, so adding those foods to our diet can help support estrogen production.
Exactly. And Hill emphasizes that it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor
Yeah,
if you're experiencing any hormonal imbalances.
great advice.
Okay.
I think we've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of spring.
Yeah, me too.
Are you ready to move on to summer?
Absolutely. Let's dive into that radiant, confident energy.
Perfect. Now, we talked about summer being a time to shine, to connect, and to take bold action.
Uh-huh.
But what if we're not feeling that summer vibe?
Okay.
What if we're feeling more introverted or anxious?
That's totally understandable.
Okay.
Not everyone experiences summer in the same way. Some women might naturally feel more introverted or sensitive, even during ovulation.
So it's okay if I'm not feeling like a social butterfly during summer.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
It's about honoring your own unique energy
Right?
and not forcing yourself to be someone you're not.
Yeah.
The key is to adapt the summer energy to fit your own individual needs and preferences.
That's reassuring to know.
Uh,
But how can we still make the most of summer,
okay.
even if we're not feeling super outgoing?
Hill suggests focusing on activities that feel aligned with your energy.
Okay.
Maybe instead of going to a big party,
Yeah.
you have a cozy dinner with a few close friends.
Right.
Or instead of giving a presentation to a large audience, you focus on one-on-one conversations with colleagues.
Okay.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
where you're honoring your own energy while still embracing the opportunities that summer brings.
Okay, so maybe instead of going to that networking event, I reach out to a few people I admire and see if they'd be up for a coffee chat.
Exactly. Or maybe you focus on deepening your existing relationships
Okay.
by having meaningful conversations with your partner, your friends,
Right.
or your family.
Okay.
It's about being intentional with our connections during this time.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something that can be a bit of a challenge during summer.
Okay.
Feeling too visible.
Yes. Hillian talks about how during ovulation,
Oh.
when our estrogen levels are high,
Uh-huh.
we might feel more exposed or vulnerable.
Okay.
It's like we're standing in the spotlight
Right.
and everyone is looking at us.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I tend to feel more self-conscious during that time of the month.
Yeah.
How can we navigate those feelings?
Hilling suggests setting boundaries and creating space for yourself
Okay.
if you're feeling overwhelmed.
Right.
Maybe skip that big party
Uh-huh.
and opt for a quiet night in.
Okay.
Or wear clothes that make you feel comfortable and confident.
Yeah.
Or take some time for yourself to recharge
Go.
before social events.
Right.
It's about finding ways to manage that feeling of visibility
Right.
and to protect your energy.
Okay. So it's about finding ways to manage that feeling of visibility and to protect our energy.
Right. And remember, it's okay to say no to things that don't feel good.
Yeah.
Your boundaries are there to protect you.
Okay. Great advice. Now, Hill also talks about how summer can be a time when it hurts so bad.
Okay.
What does she mean by that?
She's talking about painful sex,
Oh.
which can be a common experience for women
Yeah?
during certain phases of their cycle.
Okay.
It can be a taboo subject,
Right.
but Hill addresses it head on.
Okay.
She explains that pain during sex
Yeah.
can be caused by a number of factors,
Yeah.
including hormonal fluctuations, underlying medical conditions,
Right.
and even emotional stress.
Oh, wow. That's something that's not often talked about.
Yeah.
So it's not just in our heads. There could be physical or emotional reasons for the pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hill emphasizes that if you're experiencing pain during sex,
Yeah.
it's important to seek help from a healthcare professional.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
What are some of the specific conditions that Hill talks about that can cause painful sex?
She mentions conditions like vaginismus,
Okay.
vulvodynia,
Mm-hmm.
and interstitial cystitis.
Okay, can you break those down for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Vaginismus is a condition where the muscles in the vagina involuntarily contract,
Okay.
making penetration painful or impossible.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredibly challenging.
It can be,
Yeah.
but there are treatments available.
Okay.
Then there's vulvodynia,
Right.
a condition that causes chronic pain in the vulva,
Right.
the external part of the female genitals.
Yeah.
The exact cause is unknown,
Okay.
but it's thought to be related to nerve irritation or inflammation.
Okay. And what about interstitial cystitis?
Interstitial cystitis, also known as painful bladder syndrome,
Right.
is a condition that causes chronic pain and pressure in the bladder and pelvic region.
Okay.
All of these conditions can make sex painful,
Yeah.
and Hill stresses that there are effective treatments available for each of them.
That's so important. No one should have to suffer in silence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hill encourages women to advocate for their health
Right.
and to seek support from healthcare professionals who are knowledgeable and compassionate.
Now, before we move on to autumn,
Okay.
I want to ask you about something else that caught my eye in the book.
Yeah.
Hill's perspective on birth control.
Okay.
She seems to have some strong opinions on the subject.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us more about her views?
Hill's stance on hormonal birth control is a nuanced one.
Okay.
While she acknowledges its effectiveness as a contraceptive,
Right.
she also raises concerns about its potential long-term effects on women's health.
Okay, so she's not necessarily anti-birth control,
Right.
but she's advocating for informed consent and awareness of the potential risks.
Exactly. Hill believes that women should have access to all the information they need
Yeah.
to make informed decisions about their reproductive health.
Okay.
She encourages women to have open and honest conversations with their healthcare providers
Right.
about the potential benefits and risks of different forms of birth control.
That's great advice.
Hmm.
Now let's dive into autumn,
Okay.
the premenstrual phase.
Okay.
Hill calls this phase highway to hell.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on hormonally during this time
Okay.
that might lead to those feelings of,
Mm.
well, hellishness,
During autumn, our estrogen levels are declining
right?
and progesterone is on the rise,
Yeah.
but it will soon decline too.
Okay.
This hormonal shift can bring a wave of intense emotions.
Yeah.
From irritability and anxiety to sadness and fatigue.
Yeah.
It's like our inner critic gets a megaphone.
Yeah.
And all those self-doubts and insecurities come rushing to the surface.
Okay, so it's not just the physical symptoms like bloating and cramps. It's also this emotional roller coaster
Yeah,
that can feel really overwhelming.
exactly. And
Yeah.
Hill acknowledges that this can be a tough time for many women.
Right.
She encourages us to be gentle with ourselves
Yeah.
and to practice self-care.
What are some specific things we can do to navigate those autumn challenges?
Hill suggests focusing on activities that nourish your soul,
Okay.
like spending time in nature, journaling,
Yeah.
or listening to calming music.
Okay.
She also emphasizes the importance of setting boundaries
Right.
and saying no to things that drain your energy.
Okay.
It's all about creating those little pockets of peace and tranquility in your day.
So it's about creating space for ourselves
Yeah,
and prioritizing our well-being.
exactly.
Yeah.
And remember,
Yeah.
it's okay to ask for support from loved ones during this time. You don't have to go through it alone.
Now, Hill talks about how autumn can be a time when truth talking can lead to pain and catastrophe.
Yeah.
What does she mean by that?
During autumn, we're more likely to be in touch with our intuition
Okay.
and to see things with a critical eye.
Right.
This can be a powerful time for self-reflection
Right.
and for identifying areas in our lives that need to change.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
Hill cautions us against being too blunt or confrontational during this time.
So maybe not the best time to have a difficult conversation with your boss.
Right.
Or to call out your partner on their bad habits.
Probably not.
Okay.
Our communication might be a little more,
Yeah.
shall we say,
Right.
direct during this phase,
Okay.
which could lead to misunderstandings or conflicts.
Okay, so choose our battles wisely during autumn.
Exactly.
Okay?
Hill suggests using this time to journal about our feelings or
Yeah.
to have conversations with trusted friends or therapists.
Mhm.
It's about processing those feelings internally
Yeah.
before we unleash them on the world.
But Hill talks about how autumn can be a time for editing and organizing.
Okay.
Do you tell us more about that?
During autumn,
Mm-hmm.
when our energy is turning inward,
Right.
we're naturally more inclined towards reflection and evaluation.
Okay.
Hill suggests using this time to review and refine our plans, to declutter our physical space,
Yeah.
and to let go of things that no longer serve us.
So it's a time for cleaning house, both literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of it as a time to prepare for the upcoming winter season.
Yeah.
Just like nature sheds its leaves in autumn,
Right.
we can shed old habits,
Uh-huh.
beliefs, and
Yeah.
patterns that are no longer serving us.
Okay, so it's about creating space
Yeah.
and simplifying our lives.
Yeah.
What are some specific tips for embracing that autumn editing energy?
Hill suggests things like cleaning out your closet,
Okay.
unsubscribing from emails you no longer read,
Right?
and having those difficult conversations that you've been putting off.
Okay, so it's about decluttering our physical space and also addressing any emotional baggage we might be carrying.
Right. And this can be incredibly freeing and empowering.
Now, Hill also talks about the importance of speaking candidly during autumn.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about that?
During autumn,
Uh-huh.
we're more likely to be in touch with our intuition
Yeah.
and to see things with a critical eye.
Right.
Hill encourages us to use this time to speak our truth and to set boundaries.
Okay, so it's about honoring our needs and not being afraid to say no.
Uh-huh.
This might mean having a difficult conversation with a coworker,
Right.
setting limits with a friend,
Yeah.
or even just saying no to that extra project at work.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's about prioritizing ourselves and not overcommitting.
Now, Hill also talks about tone policing during this phase.
Okay.
Can you explain what she means by that?
Tone policing is a term used to describe the way that women are often told to soften their tone or to be more polite
Right.
when they're expressing their needs or opinions.
So it's like we're being silenced or dismissed because our tone is perceived as too aggressive or too emotional.
Exactly.
Right.
And Hill argues that this is a form of sexism
Okay.
that seeks to control and limit women's voices.
Yeah.
She encourages women to reject tone policing
Right.
and to speak their truth with confidence and authenticity.
That's so powerful.
Yeah,
It's about owning our power and not letting others dictate how we express ourselves.
exactly.
Now let's talk about something that a lot of women struggle with during autumn,
Okay.
PMS.
Yeah.
What are some of Hill's tips for managing those premenstrual symptoms?
Hill takes a holistic approach to PMS,
Okay.
addressing both the physical and emotional aspects.
Right.
She suggests things like
Duncan.
dietary changes,
Okay.
focus on eating regularly,
Uh-huh.
keeping your blood sugar stable,
Right.
incorporating plenty of healthy fats,
Okay.
protein, and complex carbohydrates, and
Wow.
limiting caffeine,
Yeah.
alcohol,
Uh-huh.
and sugar.
Okay, let's dive into those suggestions one by one.
Okay.
What are some of the dietary tips Hill provides for managing PMS?
First and foremost,
Okay.
she recommends eating regularly
Okay.
and making sure you're getting enough calories.
Right.
Blood sugar fluctuations can exacerbate mood swings and other PMS symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to keep your blood sugar stable.
Got it.
Yeah.
So balance meals and snacks throughout the day
Uh-huh.
to keep our blood sugar happy.
Exactly.
What about specific foods to avoid during this time?
She recommends limiting caffeine,
Okay.
alcohol,
Uh-huh.
and sugar,
Right.
which can all worsen PMS symptoms.
That makes sense. Those are all known culprits when it comes to mood swings and energy dips.
Right.
What about supplements?
Okay.
Does Hill recommend any specific supplements for PMS?
She mentions a few supplements that can be helpful,
okay.
but it's always best to talk to your healthcare provider before starting any new supplements.
Right.
Some of the supplements Hill mentions include magnesium,
Okay.
which can help reduce muscle cramps and tension,
Uh-huh.
vitamin B6,
Right.
which can help improve mood and reduce irritability, and calcium,
Yeah.
which can help reduce bloating and water retention.
Okay, so a combination of diet and supplements can help ease those PMS symptoms.
Yeah.
What about lifestyle changes?
Okay.
Does Hill have any recommendations for lifestyle changes that can help with PMS?
Absolutely.
Okay.
She emphasizes the importance of getting enough sleep.
Right.
Sleep deprivation can exacerbate mood swings and other PMS symptoms.
Yeah.
So it's crucial to prioritize rest.
Right.
Make sure you're getting those 7 to 8 hours of shut-eye.
Okay, so good sleep hygiene is key.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do to manage stress
Okay.
and create a more relaxing environment during autumn?
Elil also suggests incorporating stress-reducing activities into your routine, like yoga, meditation,
Right.
or spending time in nature.
Yeah.
Find those activities that help you unwind and de-stress.
Okay.
It's all about creating those little pockets of peace and tranquility in your day.
Now, Hill also talks about the importance of self-soothing during autumn. Can you tell us more about what she means by that?
Self-soothing is all about finding healthy ways to cope with difficult emotions during autumn.
Yeah.
When we're more susceptible to mood swings and negative thoughts,
Right.
it's especially important to have a toolbox of self-soothing techniques at our disposal.
Okay. So it's about having those go-to strategies for when those premenstrual emotions hit.
Yeah.
What are some of Hill's go-to self-soothing techniques?
She suggests things like taking a warm bath,
Okay.
listening to calming music, spending time with loved ones,
Right.
or engaging in activities that bring you joy.
Okay.
It's about finding those things that make you feel good
Yeah.
and incorporating them into your routine.
So it's not about ignoring or suppressing those premenstrual feelings,
Right.
but rather having healthy ways to cope with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Self-soothing is about acknowledging your emotions
Hmm.
and finding ways to navigate them in a way that supports your well-being.
Okay. I think we've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of autumn.
Yeah.
Are you ready to move on to the next chapter of our lives?
Yes. Let's move on to the exciting and sometimes challenging transitions that life throws our way.
Perfect. Now, Hill dedicates a whole chapter to life transitions.
Okay.
Changes.
Yeah.
And she talks about how our hormonal cycles can shift and change during these times.
Right.
Let's start with the very first transition most women experience.
Okay.
Puberty.
Okay.
What does Hill have to say about this often awkward and confusing time?
Hill emphasizes that puberty is a unique and individual experience.
Okay.
There's no right way to go through it.
That's so important.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us compare ourselves to others during puberty,
Yeah,
which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or self-consciousness.
absolutely.
Right.
Hill encourages us to embrace the uniqueness of our own journey
Okay.
and to celebrate the changes that our bodies are going through.
Okay, so rock those training bras and embrace those first periods.
Laughs. Exactly. Hill also talks about the importance of having open and honest conversations with young people
Okay.
about puberty and menstruation.
So no more whispering about periods or hiding tampons in our sleeves.
Right. It's about normalizing these conversations
Uh-huh.
and creating a space where young people feel comfortable asking questions and getting the information they need.
Now, Hill also talks about the importance of teaching young people about sexual consent during puberty.
Yeah.
Why is that so important?
Puberty is a time when young people are exploring their sexuality
Right.
and developing their sense of self.
Okay.
It's crucial that they understand the importance of consent
Yeah.
and that they feel empowered to set boundaries.
Okay. So it's about teaching them to respect their own bodies and the bodies of others.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Hill provides some great tips for parents and educators
Uh-huh.
on how to have those conversations in a way that's age appropriate and informative.
Now let's move on to another major life transition,
Okay.
using hormonal birth control. We touched on this a bit earlier,
Uh-huh.
but Hill goes into more detail in this chapter.
Right.
Can you tell us more about her perspective?
As we discussed before,
Yeah.
Hill's stance on hormonal birth control is complex.
Right.
She acknowledges its effectiveness as a contraceptive
Uh-huh.
and its potential benefits for managing certain medical conditions.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
she also raises concerns about its potential long-term effects on women's health.
Okay, so it's about weighing the pros and cons and making informed decisions.
Exactly.
Okay.
Hill emphasizes that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to birth control.
Right.
What works for one woman might not work for another.
Yeah.
It's about finding what feels right for your body and your individual needs.
Okay.
And it's important to have open and honest conversations with your healthcare provider about your options.
Now, Hill provides a really helpful chart in the book
Okay.
that outlines the different types of hormonal birth control,
Yeah.
their effectiveness rates,
Right.
and their potential side effects.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through some of the key takeaways from that chart?
Okay.
What are the main types of hormonal birth control available?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Here are some of the key things to keep in mind.
Okay.
Combined pill.
Okay.
The combined pill contains both estrogen and progestin
Uh-huh.
and is highly effective when used correctly.
Okay.
Progestin-only pill. Mini pill.
Right.
The mini pill contains only progestin
Okay.
and is a good option for women who can't take estrogen.
Okay.
Vaginal ring.
Mm-hmm.
This releases hormones
Okay.
and is worn for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
followed by a 1-week break,
Okay.
contraceptive patch,
Right.
similar to the ring.
Yeah.
This is a patch worn on the skin that releases hormones,
Okay.
implants.
Uh-huh.
These are small rods inserted under the skin
Okay.
that release progestin and are highly effective,
Right.
lasting for up to 3 years.
Okay.
Injections.
Yeah.
The injection is a shot of progestin that prevents ovulation and is given every 3 months.
Good.
Hormonal intrauterine system, IUS.
Uh-huh.
This is a small T-shaped device inserted into the uterus
Okay.
that releases progestin,
Okay.
copper IUD.
Okay.
This is a non-hormonal option
Right.
that releases copper,
Uh-huh.
which is toxic to sperm.
Wow. That's a lot of options.
It is.
It's helpful to know what's out there.
It is. And remember,
Yeah.
it's essential to talk to your healthcare provider to determine which form of birth control is right for you.
Okay, now let's move on to a transition that many women look forward to.
Okay.
Motherhood.
Okay.
Hill devotes a significant portion of the book to fertility, pregnancy,
Right.
and postpartum.
Yeah.
Let's start with fertility.
Okay.
What are some of Hill's key insights into this often complex and emotional journey?
Hill acknowledges that fertility can be a roller coaster of emotions,
Right.
encouraging women to approach this journey with self-compassion
Yeah,
and to seek support from loved ones and healthcare professionals.
that's so important. I think a lot of women feel alone or ashamed when they're struggling to conceive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hill emphasizes that infertility is more common than we realize,
Okay.
and there's no shame in seeking help.
Right.
She provides a wealth of information on the different factors that can impact fertility,
Wow.
from hormonal imbalances to lifestyle choices.
Okay, so let's dive into those factors one by one.
Okay.
What are some of the hormonal imbalances that can affect fertility?
Hill talks about conditions like polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS,
Right.
endometriosis,
Right.
and thyroid disorders,
Yeah.
all of which can disrupt ovulation and make it harder to conceive.
Okay, so those are conditions that directly impact our hormones and reproductive system.
Right.
What about lifestyle factors?
Okay.
What kind of things can we do to optimize our fertility?
Lifestyle factors that can impact fertility include age,
Okay.
stress levels,
Yeah.
smoking,
Yeah.
alcohol consumption,
Yeah.
drug use, weight here,
Okay.
and nutrition.
Okay, so it's about taking a holistic approach to fertility.
Uh-huh.
addressing both the physical and emotional aspects.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment where our bodies feel safe and supported to conceive.
Now, Hill talks about a concept called preconception care.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about what that entails?
Okay.
What are the key steps women can take to prepare their bodies for pregnancy?
Preconception care is all about optimizing your health and well-being in the months leading up to conception.
Right.
It's about creating a healthy environment for a baby to grow and thrive.
Okay.
Hill recommends things like taking a prenatal vitamin,
Right.
eating a nutritious diet,
Ah.
getting regular exercise,
Okay.
managing stress,
Yeah.
getting enough sleep,
Right.
avoiding smoking,
Uh-huh.
alcohol,
Yeah.
and drugs,
Okay.
and talking to your doctor about any underlying medical conditions.
Okay, so it's about taking a proactive approach to your health and well-being.
Yeah.
It sounds like preconception care isn't just for women, though. Men's health is important too, right?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
It's important for men to prioritize their health as well, as sperm quality can also impact fertility.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about pregnancy.
Okay.
Hill describes pregnancy as an extended winter season.
Okay.
Can you expand on that analogy?
Okay.
Why does she compare pregnancy to winter?
During winter,
Yeah.
or our period,
Uh-huh.
we naturally withdraw and turn inward.
Right.
Our energy levels are lower
Right.
and we need more rest.
Right.
Pregnancy is similar in that it's a time of intense physical and emotional transformation
Hey.
that requires a lot of energy and rest.
So it's like our bodies are telling us to slow down and focus on growing a human.
Exactly.
Right.
Hill encourages pregnant women to embrace that winter energy
Right?
and to prioritize rest and self-care.
Okay.
It's about surrendering to the process and
Yeah.
allowing your body to do what it needs to do to grow a healthy baby.
Now, Hill breaks down pregnancy into 3 trimesters,
Yeah.
each with its own unique energy. Can you walk us through those different trimesters?
Okay.
What kind of changes can women expect during each phase?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The first trimester is often characterized by fatigue,
Okay.
nausea,
Uh-huh.
and hormonal fluctuations.
Right.
It's a time when your body is working hard to create a safe and nourishing environment for the developing fetus.
So it's like the foundation is being laid.
Exactly.
Right.
And the second trimester is often considered the honeymoon phase of pregnancy.
Okay.
Many women experience a surge in energy
Okay.
and a decrease in nausea.
Okay, that sounds nice.
It can be.
Yeah.
It's a time when you can really start to feel the baby move and connect with your growing little one.
And then the third trimester
Yeah.
can bring a mix of excitement and anticipation,
Uh-huh.
as well as physical discomfort and fatigue.
Right.
Your body's preparing for labor and delivery, and you may feel the need to nest and prepare for the baby's arrival.
Right.
So a mix of emotions and physical changes as you get closer to the big day.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Hill encourages us to approach each trimester with a sense of curiosity and awareness,
Right.
listening to our bodies and honoring our individual needs.
Okay, so we've talked about pregnancy as an extended winter.
Mm-hmm.
What about postpartum?
Okay.
How does Hill describe this phase of life?
Hill describes postpartum as a time of retreat and renewal.
Okay.
It's a time of immense physical,
Right.
emotional, and hormonal adjustment.
Okay.
It's a time when your body is healing from childbirth
Yeah.
and adjusting to life with a newborn.
So it's not just about bouncing back to your pre-baby body and getting back to normal life.
Exactly.
Right.
Hill encourages women to embrace this time as an opportunity for deep rest and healing, to really nourish their bodies and souls
Right.
after the incredible feat of giving birth.
Okay, so how can women support themselves during this time of retreat and renewal?
Okay.
What are some practical tips?
Hill suggests prioritizing rest,
Okay.
nourishing your body with nutrient-rich foods, asking for help from loved ones,
Right.
and connecting with other mothers.
Right.
It's about creating a supportive and nurturing environment where you can heal, bond with your baby,
Right.
and adjust to this new chapter of your life.
So it's about giving yourself permission to slow down
Yeah.
and to prioritize your own well-being,
Yeah,
just as you would during winter or your period.
exactly.
Yeah. Expert. And remember, there's no right way to do postpartum.
Right.
What works for one woman might not work for another.
Uh-huh.
It's about finding what feels best for you and your family.
Exactly.
I love that. Now, Hill also talks about the importance of honoring your postpartum winter.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a bit?
Okay.
What does she mean by that?
After giving birth, it's natural to feel a bit depleted and withdrawn. Just like during winter or our period,
Right.
we need time to rest,
Uh-huh.
recharge,
Yeah.
and connect inward.
Okay.
Hill emphasizes that during this time,
Yeah.
it's crucial to continue prioritizing rest,
Right.
nutrition,
Uh-huh.
and support.
So give yourself permission to hibernate for a while.
Exactly. Don't feel pressured to bounce back or to be supermom right away.
Okay.
It's okay to slow down,
Right.
to say no to visitors,
Uh-huh.
and to focus on your own healing and recovery.
Okay, so honor those postpartum boundaries.
Mhm.
What about the 4th trimester?
Okay.
What can we expect during this phase?
The 4th trimester is a term used to describe the first 3 months after birth.
Okay.
It's a time of immense change and adjustment for both mother and baby.
Right.
It's an extension of that postpartum winter,
Uh-huh.
a time to continue prioritizing those core needs of rest,
Okay.
nourishment, and
Yeah.
connection.
Now, Hill also talks about how breastfeeding can impact your cycle.
Right.
Can you tell us more about that?
Breastfeeding releases hormones that can suppress ovulation.
Okay.
This means that you might not get your period back for several months
Right.
or even longer
Okay.
if you're exclusively breastfeeding.
Okay, so breastfeeding can act as a natural form of birth control.
It can, but it's not foolproof.
Okay.
It's important to talk to your healthcare provider about contraception if you're not ready to conceive again.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Now, Hill also talks about a condition called postpartum low.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay.
What are the signs and symptoms of postpartum low?
Okay.
And what can women do if they're experiencing it?
Postpartum low is a term used to describe a mild form of postpartum depression.
Yeah.
It's characterized by feelings of sadness,
Uh-huh.
anxiety,
Right.
irritability,
Yeah.
and fatigue.
Okay. And what causes postpartum low?
Hmm.
Is it hormonal? Situational?
It's thought to be caused by a combination of factors, including hormonal fluctuations,
Right.
sleep deprivation.
And the stress of adjusting to life with a newborn.
So it's normal to feel a bit down or overwhelmed during those early months of motherhood.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Hill emphasizes that postpartum low is incredibly common
Okay.
and that there's no shame in seeking help.
Right.
If you're feeling down or overwhelmed during postpartum,
Uh-huh.
reach out to your doctor or a mental health professional.
Okay, so don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Reach out for support if you need it.
Exactly.
Now let's move on to a transition that can be both challenging and liberating.
Okay.
Perimenopause.
Okay.
What does Hill have to say about this phase of life?
Perimenopause is the transitional period leading up to menopause.
Okay.
It's a time when our hormone levels start to fluctuate more dramatically,
Right.
which can cause a wide range of symptoms.
Okay, so it's like our bodies are preparing for the grand finale of our reproductive years.
You could say that.
Okay.
Hill describes perimenopause as a time of hormonal upheaval.
And she acknowledges that it can be a challenging time for many women.
What are some of the common symptoms of perimenopause?
Okay.
What kind of changes can women expect during this time?
Some of the most common symptoms include irregular periods,
Okay.
hot flashes,
Uh-huh.
night sweats,
Okay.
vaginal dryness,
Right.
and mood swings.
Okay, so it can be quite a ride.
It can be.
Yeah.
But Hill emphasizes that there are things women can do to manage these symptoms
Okay.
and to navigate this transition with grace and ease.
What are some of her tips for managing perimenopause?
She suggests eating a healthy diet,
Okay.
getting regular exercise,
Uh-huh.
managing stress,
Right.
and talking to your doctor about hormone replacement therapy, HRT.
Okay.
HRT can help relieve some of the symptoms of perimenopause,
Right.
but it's essential to discuss the risks and benefits with your doctor.
Okay, so a combination of lifestyle changes and medical intervention can help women navigate perimenopause.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works best for your individual needs. Now let's talk about the final chapter of our reproductive years,
Okay.
menopause.
Okay.
What does Hill have to say about this often stigmatized phase of life?
Hill challenges the negative stereotypes surrounding menopause
Right.
and encourages women to embrace this transition as a time of empowerment and self-discovery.
I love that. It's about reclaiming our power
Yeah.
and embracing our wisdom and experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hill describes menopause as a time to reap the rewards of a life well lived.
Okay.
It's a time to focus on our passions, to nurture our relationships,
Right.
and to celebrate our accomplishments.
What are some of the key things women can do to support themselves during menopause?
Okay.
What are some ways to navigate this transition smoothly?
Hill suggests continuing to eat a healthy diet,
Okay.
staying active,
Mm-hmm.
managing stress,
Right.
and connecting with other women.
Okay.
It's about continuing to prioritize our health and well-being,
Yeah.
even as our bodies change.
Okay, so it's about honoring our bodies and adapting our self-care practices
Uh-huh.
as we move through this transition.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about listening to our body's wisdom and finding what feels good.
Now, Hill also talks about the importance of rewriting your menopause narrative.
Okay.
What does she mean by that?
For too long, menopause has been portrayed as a time of decline and loss.
Right.
Hill encourages us to challenge those negative stereotypes and to
Yeah.
create a new narrative that celebrates the wisdom, strength, and resilience of menopausal women.
So it's about reframing menopause as a time of transition and growth
Uh-huh.
rather than a time of ending.
Right.
It's about seeing this phase of life as a new beginning
Yeah.
full of possibility.
Exactly.
Now, before we wrap up our discussion of life transitions,
Okay.
I want to ask you about something else that Hill talks about,
Okay.
the emotional impact of infertility.
Right. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Infertility can be an incredibly challenging and emotionally draining experience.
Mhm.
It can bring up a wide range of emotions,
Okay.
including sadness,
Mhm.
anger,
Right.
grief,
Yeah.
and even guilt.
It's like this deep longing
Yeah.
that's constantly present.
Uh-huh.
And when it's not fulfilled,
Right.
it can be really heartbreaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hill acknowledges that infertility can be a deeply emotional experience
Okay.
and encourages women who are struggling with infertility to seek support
Right.
from loved ones,
Hmm.
therapists, or support groups.
Okay. So it's not just about the physical challenges of trying to conceive.
Right.
It's also about the emotional toll it takes.
Yeah.
It's about allowing ourselves to feel those emotions
Mhm.
and to seek support when we need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hill also emphasizes the importance of self-compassion during this time.
Okay.
It's okay to grieve the loss of the pregnancy you might have hoped for. And it's okay to take a break from trying to conceive if you need to.
So give yourself permission to feel your feelings
Yeah,
and to honor your needs.
exactly.
Now, Hill also talks about the importance of finding meaning and purpose outside of motherhood.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay.
Why is that important for women who are struggling with infertility?
For many women, motherhood is a central part of their identity.
Yeah.
When that path is blocked,
Right.
it can be challenging to find meaning and purpose elsewhere.
Right.
Hill encourages women to explore their passions,
Okay.
to nurture their relationships,
Right.
and to find fulfillment in other areas of their lives.
So it's about expanding our definition of what it means to be a woman
Mm-hmm.
and to live a fulfilling life.
Yeah,
It's about recognizing that our worth is not defined by our ability to have children.
absolutely.
That's such an important message.
It is.
Now, before we wrap up our discussion of period power,
Okay.
I want to ask you about one more thing. Hill's perspective on the menstrual cycle as a spiritual journey.
Okay.
Can you tell us more about that?
Hill believes that our menstrual cycle is not just a biological process,
Mhm.
but also a spiritual one.
Okay.
She sees each phase of the cycle as an opportunity for growth, transformation, and self-discovery.
Okay.
It's about connecting with our bodies on a deeper level and honoring the wisdom of our cycles.
So it's about tuning in to the rhythm of our bodies
Yeah.
and recognizing the cyclical nature of our lives.
Uh-huh.
It's about seeing our periods as a source of power and wisdom,
Exactly.
not just a monthly inconvenience.
Hill encourages us to use our cycle as a tool for self-awareness,
Oh.
creativity, and spiritual exploration.
I love that. It's about seeing our periods as a gift,
Yeah.
not a burden.
Right.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of our womanhood.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
This has been an incredible deep dive into period power by Maisie Hill.
It has.
I've learned so much, and I'm feeling really inspired
Awesome.
to start incorporating some of these insights into my own life.
I hope so.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
This book is a must-read for any woman who wants to understand her body and her cycle better.
Yeah.
It's packed with information,
Right.
insights,
Mhm.
and practical tips that can help you live a more empowered and fulfilling life. I
Yeah.
highly recommend it.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
Period power is truly a game changer.
it is.
Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's been a pleasure exploring this book with you.
It's been a pleasure being here.
And to our listeners,
Yeah.
thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found this deep dive into period power insightful and empowering.
Yeah, I hope so.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.